Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our channel, U.S. Immigration. We hope you're doing great. In this video, we're going to talk about Operation Lone Star 2.0, DPS arresting thousands of undocumented immigrants across Texas to aid Trump's mass deportation. Texas Operation Lone Star 2.0 has expanded beyond border enforcement, with state police now arresting thousands of undocumented immigrants across the state in support of President Donald Trump's sweeping deportation agenda. If you are interested in this topic, please pay attention and watch the video through to the end to get all the information. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for an upcoming video. The Texas Department of Public Safety has taken on an increasingly prominent role in immigration enforcement, helping arrest more than 3,000 undocumented immigrants across the state in 2025. Newly obtained records by the Texas Tribune reveal how the agency has quietly shifted resources away from traditional state policing and deeper into federal immigration priorities. This marks one of the most sweeping state-led expansions into immigration enforcement in Texas history, raising legal and civil rights questions along the way. Thousands of arrests under state-led operations. From late January through early September, DPS documented 3,131 arrests tied to immigration enforcement operations. These arrests were carried out by newly created strike teams ordered by Governor Greg Abbott to support President Donald Trump's mass deportation campaign. Nearly 88% of those arrested were taken into custody for suspected violations of federal immigration law, primarily improper entry into the U.S. historically. Such violations have been the exclusive domain of federal agencies like Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Customs and Border Protection. Operation Lone Star 2.0. DPS spokesperson Sheridan Nolan described these actions as part of Operation Lone Star 2.0, a continuation and expansion of the state's border security initiative. Initially launched during the Biden administration, Operation Lone Star concentrated thousands of troopers along the Texas-Mexico border. Now, amid declining border crossings, DPS has redeployed resources to metropolitan areas across Texas, embedding strike teams with federal agencies to identify, arrest, and hand over migrants accused of criminal activity. Jurisdiction questions and federal authority. Immigration enforcement falls under federal jurisdiction, and state police historically have had no power to arrest individuals solely for their undocumented status. DPS currently has no formal agreement with the Department of Homeland Security, or IC, that grants it federal authority, according to public records. Nevertheless, Nolan asserted that DPS troopers have jurisdiction to protect the entire state, provided they act with probable cause. This ambiguous stance leaves many questions about whether DPS is acting within its legal limits. Lack of transparency in strike team operations. While DPS has celebrated its general policing accomplishments in the past, the agency has been notably silent on details surrounding the strike teams. Officials have refused to explain how the teams choose their targets, what operational methods are used, or even where arrested migrants are ultimately detained. Once an individual is handed over to federal custody, DPS claims it does not track their status. Governor Abbott has stated on social media that migrants arrested by DPS are then deported by IC, but the agency itself has not verified outcomes. Targeting criminal immigrants. The Trump administration has publicly emphasized deporting immigrants with violent criminal histories, and DPS leadership has echoed that priority. By mid-August, DPS said it had identified more than 6,500 criminal illegal immigrants with active felony warrants for crimes ranging from murder and human smuggling to drug and sex offenses. DPS Director Freeman Martin told the Public Safety Commission in February that the agency is targeting those posing the largest threat to communities. Yet records obtained suggest the reality is more complex, with arrests spanning both serious offenders and individuals with little or no criminal history. Civil rights concerns and racial profiling allegations. Critics argue that DPS' growing role raises civil liberties concerns. The American Civil Liberties Union of Texas warned that the expansion into interior regions of the state could lead to racial profiling and disproportionate targeting of migrants accused of low-level or nonviolent offenses. Policy strategist Osvaldo Grimaldo questioned the legality and accountability of DPS actions, particularly when strike teams coordinate with local police or federal agencies, in secretive ways. Continued state investment despite declining crossings. Illegal border crossings have dropped sharply since last summer, yet Texas lawmakers approved an additional $3.4 billion for border security earlier this year. Roughly one-third of that funding was directed to DPS for immigration enforcement within Texas Interior. Just days after Trump began his second presidential term, Abbott instructed DPS to deploy strike teams explicitly designed to help federal agencies locate and arrest undocumented immigrants statewide. He praised the partnership with Trump, calling it an opportunity to end this crisis and make America safe once again. Low profile compared to border publicity. While Operation Lone Star was frequently promoted by state leaders with press conferences, media campaigns, and social media updates, the current strike team operations have been conducted with little fanfare. For example, a raid earlier this year in Hays County was initially framed as a gang takedown, but subsequent reports showed that nearly all of those arrested were simply undocumented immigrants with no criminal records. Among them were families and children, including a 5-year-old who spent a birthday in icy detention. The uncertain scope of DPS deportation role. The true scope of DPS immigration enforcement remains unclear. Officials admitted the agency had also assisted in a large icy operation that netted over 800 arrests in a single month, though it was not specified whether those figures were included in the DPS strike team tally. While supporters argue that the state is addressing public safety concerns and helping federal authorities track down violent offenders, critics warn that civil rights are being jeopardized, transparency is lacking, and state resources are being stretched into federal responsibilities. As DPS operations expand deeper into Texas cities and towns, the debate over state involvement in immigration enforcement is likely to intensify, testing the boundaries of federalism and the balance between security and constitutional rights. Operation Lone Star 2.0 underscores how Texas has become a central player in advancing Trump's mass deportation strategy. Supporters argue it strengthens public safety and border security, while critics war it diverts resources, criminalizes immigrant communities, and erodes civil rights protections. That is all for today in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully, the information is useful to you. See you later in the next video. Till then, take care.